it's jamiletyunuen and I'm so happy to be back here making YouTube videos for you guys. Please, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you click that button and hit the little bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Okay, you guys, well, today I'm super excited because the last couple videos have been, I wouldn't say old videos, but they were filmed a while ago. And today I'm finally filming inside of my new home. I'm super happy. You guys like this video? If you would like a home tour, I can be posting that soon. Right now we are focusing on furnishing it and, you know, making it look nice, but I can definitely film something like that for you guys. Alright, well, a couple days ago I made a quiz on my Instagram account. Here's my Instagram if you don't follow me yet, and here's ZAIRAH'S if you want to follow her too. And the quiz was on what you guys wanted to see next on my YouTube channel. Majority of you actually voted for a story time on how I met my husband. So today I am going to be letting you guys know how I met my husband. Alright, so I guess I should start by saying that I met my husband in high school, and if you guys don't know, I graduated high school over a year ago. So when I moved to California, I had just graduated from middle school, so I was going into high school. And I actually went into sophomore year instead of freshman year because my credits made up all the way to freshman year. So that way I just went straight into sophomore year. And actually, I remember meeting him the first day of school. As a fun fact, my first day of school in high school in a different place with even a different language was on my birthday. So how funny is that? Anyways, the process of, you know, them introducing me to the school and everything, my classes, getting everything ready for me, took like, I would say 4 out of 6 periods of the day. And it just so happened that my first class of the day, of my first day of school, was PE, which is the one class that him and I shared during sophomore year. So it's also funny because sophomore year was his first year in that high school too. He had transferred from another high school, and that was basically our first year in that high school. So for that year, I mean, we kind of would only talk in class, and you know, we didn't talk a lot. We weren't like super close friends. But the funny thing is that out of all my classes and all the people that I was just starting to meet and everything, I always knew how to identify him because he was always so sweet, so kind. He had long hair. I mean, not super long, but long hair for a guy, I guess you could say. And he was the only other person I knew with a unique name that I had never heard before, and it starts with J. So, yeah. So, as I was saying, sophomore year, we didn't really talk that much. We would only see each other in class. He was also in another relationship during his sophomore year, and I was as well in another relationship during my sophomore year. We were cool, we were friends, we weren't really close, but we got closer in junior year. This is why. He had been in one of the school's clubs, which was called Sex Ed Squad.
He was already in there sophomore year, and junior year was basically his second year in that club.
Him and 3 other juniors, it was their second year there, so they were the ones who taught us everything throughout the year. In that club, we also did many outside of school events, after school events, you could say. Some were even on Saturdays. So we got really close.
Also, I should mention that we shared history class junior year. So every single year of high school that we were there, we shared a class together. It's just that the difference with junior year is that we had a club after school that we went to. And so we just basically got closer, and we shared, I guess you could say, more time together. Again, we didn't really talk that much, but we know who we were, and we were kind of friends, and we definitely built a stronger friendship. So things actually changed when it was our senior year. That's when we started dating. It wasn't at the beginning of senior year, it was actually halfway through.
But let me tell you how it went. So senior year, we had a type of English class together, which was called Film as Literature. And I must say that neither him or I were in sex as a squad anymore.
He, after 2 years, said, you know, he was kind of over and he wanted to try different things. And for me, I think I wanted to enjoy my senior way in a different way, and I had already, you know, experienced what sex ed squad was, and I had already, you know, enjoyed it. So yeah, we were not in sex ed squad anymore.
We did have this class together, Film Lit.
The first half of senior year, everything was normal. I mean, sometimes we would do stuff in class together. For the first semester, we would sit together like around, 30% of the time.
That's because he would always be late for school. Things didn't really change until the second semester. Actually, going right back in from Christmas vacation. Let's make a pause because I want to say a couple things before I continue.
It's very difficult to explain this. Many people are like against it, and me personally, I was one of those people before this relationship. So what I'm talking about is you are talking to someone for a very short period of time, and then you guys start immediately dating. That's something that I was really, really against. Because I don't really believe in that, you know? It's hard for me to believe in talking to someone for such a short period of time, I'm talking days, and then, you know, dating them and just like being like, oh, I love you so much and stuff like that. So that's why I never really talk about how we met to a lot of people, because for that I would have to tell the full story like I'm doing right now. If I just say what I'm going to say next, I feel like people are going to judge. After my past relationship, I was really hurt. And it took me a very, very long time to be okay with myself and to feel okay to date again and just to give someone else the opportunity and to give myself the opportunity. So I didn't date for a very, very long time. I was really sad and I was really confused because I knew I wanted to be in a relationship, but I guess it happens to a lot of us women. It's like you can't find the right person for you, and you just feel like no one is right for you and you're never going to find that person. And another thing I want to say is that I always saw Jamari as the ideal person, you know? And I was always like, oh, he's so sweet, he's so kind, he's so caring, and all these qualities that I wanted to find that in a guy, but I never saw it in him. There's a lot of reasons why I never saw it in him. One of them is that, you know, he was in a relationship and I was in a relationship too, and I wanted to respect that, and, you know, I never really saw him with other type of interests than a friendship because I didn't want to be disrespectful or anything like that. So yeah, I always saw him as a friend, and my focus was just a friend. Simple as that. That doesn't mean that I didn't see very amazing qualities that I absolutely wanted my partner to have, right? Just always saw him as a friend until that day.
Also, I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys, but
when a friend or someone talks to you about a person and they're like trying to talk to you about that person in a different sense, you know? And you're like, no, what? Like, what? What are you talking about? It's like, that's the way I saw Jamari. Because, again, he was always such a good and caring friend to me that it's like, I can't see him in another way. I respect him so much, and I appreciate him so much that I can't see him in that way, you know? So that's something that happened to me for a long time. Later on, I came to find out that he actually felt the same way about me. And that we always had this, like, boundary thing within us that we just couldn't, you know, pass. Obviously, I'm talking about this like after we had both ended our past relationships, not when we were in our past relationships.
okay, we went back to school and everything was normal for the first week. Things started changing in the second week, coming back from Christmas vacation. I remember I was really tired. On a Monday, we sat together that day and we were watching a movie because, again, our class was Film as Literature. I just remember that since Jamari was always that kind of friend that I could just do whatever, be whatever I wanted around him. Like, I never had to pretend to be anyone else. And so that day, I was so tired. I just laid on his shoulder. I was like, okay, I'm tired. I'm gonna pass out. It was funny because we were in the front row of, you know, the classroom, and we were watching a movie, and I just decided to fall asleep. And I fell asleep for the whole 50 minutes of the class.
And the bell rang and I just didn't wake up. I was so comfortable. And so I just remember he was waking me up and he was like, Jam, wake up. And then I woke up and I was actually like sleepy. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, because the lights were still off and everything. So I just didn't know what was going on. And
I just remember he grabbed my bag, he put it on his shoulder, and then he gave me his hand so I could stand up. And
that was just a moment where I thought like, obviously he's perfect anyways. That's not for me, he's not for me. He's just Jamari, he's just a friend. I just can't see him in any way. He walked me to my classroom and then he handed me my bag and then he left and then he was like, see you tomorrow. And I was like, oh, see you tomorrow, because we never really bumped into each other in the halls because our classes were just very different.
my next class was psychology. So I had a very close friend of mine in psychology. Her name was Ashley.
She saw me that I was kind of weird because I was kind of weird. I mean, Jamari was always super sweet to me, and that's also another thing. It's like, you know those people that you're like, he's being or she's being too sweet. I don't know if they're flirting with me or that's their way of being, you know? That's their way of being around other people. And Jamari was always like that. He was always super sweet and super like nice, that it just is the type of guy that has you thinking like, does this have another intention? Are you trying to say something? But in reality, with him, I could never question it because it was him, you know? He was my friend, and no, you know? And she's like, are you okay? You know, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. But in my head, I actually gave myself, I actually allowed myself to have the doubt. And I was like, okay, if this behavior of him, like so sweet and so gentle and everything, means something else, he is going to contact me.
We didn't have each other in Snapchat. I get so happy when I remember this.
I just hear on my phone, and it was a Snapchat notification that said that Jamari had added me as a friend. And I was like, oh, okay. I was so excited.
I remember that moment very well because that's when I actually started, you know, letting myself think, you know what? Yes, Jamari is amazing and he is like the perfect guy, and why don't you try to see him in a different way, you know? Why don't you just at least try to see him in a different way, you know?
A second later, there's a message from him in my Snap. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I checked the message, and then he just said, save me a spot tomorrow, Jam. So that basically implied that he was going to sit right next to me again, right? So I was like, okay. And I just sent, I didn't want to be hella dry because I was like, okay, if something's going to happen, it's also going to depend on me, right? I can't just be like difficult and shit like that. So I sent him a text back. I was just like, okay. And I sent him a heart. And then he texted me, hey, what's your phone number? And then I was like, oh, okay. So I gave him my phone number. And then I asked him who had given him my Snap because I don't give a lot of people my Snapchat because I don't really use it. So he said, oh, blah, 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 give it to me, which is a friend that we both had in common. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyways, that friend of ours was one of the first people to like know that something was going on between us.
Basically what happened after that is that day we just texted for like all day long as much as we could because he had work and I had work. So yeah, we were just talking, and then the next day he walked me to my second class again. So I was like, oh, okay.
4 more periods happened, and then we had lunch, and then he texts me and he's like, hey Jem, where do you sit at lunch? And I was like, oh, I sit here, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh, can I come? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we just hanged out together where I used to have lunch.
And by then, you know, we were kind of more like talking, like flirting, you know, that whole thing.
That's how Tuesday went. Then we texted and stuff like that. We talked all evening. And then Wednesday came and it was kind of already obvious that we were a thing, right?
I just remember that in our first period, we kissed for the first time. And then from there it was just like, okay, we're together. But he never really had asked me, like, officially. So I was questioning, like, is this like, kind of like, are we just playing? Or is this something serious? Or are we in a relationship? Right? I was questioning all those kind of things.
We were walking to our classes, but we were holding hands.
And it just so happened that some of our friends from ZAIRAH'S squad from last year were like having lunch together, and they were right behind us while we were all walking to our classes. And they saw us holding hands, and they just started questioning. They're like, oh, what's happening? Oh, what's going on? And stuff like that. So we got so nervous because there was hella people, and then, you know, Jamari and I were just holding hands. It wasn't even like we were kissing or anything. And they just start, you know how friends are. They just start like being loud and being like, oh, what's going all excited. And so yeah, we got all shy and stuff.
They were really happy for us.
I forgot to mention that Tuesday he went to my work and brought me Starbucks, and we just were talking and stuff like that, chilling, and that was nice.
So it was Wednesday. That day he didn't have work and I did, so I went to work and he wanted to go to my work again, but it was really rainy and it was horrible. There was like a storm and I just didn't want him to go out because, you know, he was gonna get sick and stuff like that. He said, okay, fine, I won't go. He just surprises me and he's like all wet and he goes there and he just gets to my work and I'm like, oh my god, why did you do this? You're so cute. After work, he invited me to have dinner and we were talking and we just got to know more about each other.
I feel like it's never been a problem between him and I, even when we were just friends, to open up to each other. So that night it was really nice because we talked about a lot of stuff and we got to know each other in ways that, you know, we hadn't before. We talked about a lot of topics.
Then we were just eating and then he's just like randomly like, oh yeah, and I haven't really asked you, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, that was so out of the blue and I don't know, like unexpected. We were just eating, it was all normal, and then I'm like, oh yeah, of course. And then we just started dating and everything went super well from there. We were super happy and we're still super happy, and everything that we have wanted to accomplish, we've accomplished together, and it just feels very, very nice, and I love him so much. And I feel very blessed and very fortunate to have him, and he's my everything as well as my daughter, and I love him so much. I already said that, but yeah, I mean, that's basically the story of how I met him and how did things go for us to start a relationship together and end up where we are today. But yeah, I think that's it for today's video. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know if you would like some more story times and on what topics. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the love and support always. I love you. See you next time.